Hello, welcome to the Fitness Influencers Show. This is Carrie Harper, owner of Carrie Fit. I'm in Austin, Texas, and today I am joined by Tatum Rebelle, who's the owner of Total Mommy Fitness in San Antonio, Texas. Though we're both in Texas and we're sort of down the street from each other, we both have a global brand, which is something that we're going to discuss a little bit today. So Tatum, thanks for taking the time and getting on the call with us today.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
So let's start from the beginning. How did you decide to start something like Total Mommy Fitness?
Okay, so it's interesting. Long story short, the story that I've told for probably the first 8 or 9 years of owning Total Mommy Fitness was the story about I worked in a gym and I noticed that when women would get pregnant, they'd stop working out, and I saw a problem, and then I had a client that I was training who got pregnant and wanted to continue during her pregnancy. And so I called OBGYN offices. It was kind of before Google was really an instant resource. And it was in 2005. And I couldn't find anyone to help me with my client. And I was scared because I was like, I don't want to get her heart rate up. I don't think you're supposed to do that. I don't, know what's safe. And so it was this really intimidating thing, and there wasn't a resource. And so I was pretty frustrated by that. And then I found an ACE, American Council on Exercise continuing education course. And I took it, and I was shocked to learn that most of the stuff that you hear at the gym or the fears that women had were completely unfounded and just flat out wrong. And so I thought, this is like an area where there's a need, and it's interesting, and it's fun and exciting, and taking a woman through this process of her life. And so anyway, then a couple years ago, I realized I lost my mom at 19 from skin cancer, and that was something that really deeply affected me. But I don't think I realized how much it affected me until I got a little older. And I am so passionately driven to help moms stay healthy, and I think now that I'm a little older and wiser, the reason wasn't that one client. It wasn't, I saw a problem in the gym. It was that I am so called to help moms, and not just help moms, but help kids not go through what my family went through. Because it was something that was so preventable and really could have been a really different outcome had my mom just had the information and had someone helping her and been educated about self-care and all the stuff that now I'm trying to teach women how to do.
So when you say self-care, like how many different topics are you encompassing in Total Mommy Fitness?
So I think that the total is the key word. What I typically do is I'll meet a woman who's maybe interested in training, and we'll get deeper. Like, is it your body you're trying to change? Is it your diet? Is it your weight? And then we'll figure out what it is that's preventing her from reaching her goals. Is it time? Is it schedule? Is it motivation? Is it, maybe mental blocks from her past? Maybe she was teased about being overweight when she was young. Maybe there's abuse, in her past, and we'll try to figure out the root cause of what's causing it. What's causing her from not reaching her goals. And then we'll tackle that, because I could tell you to do push-ups and sit-ups and squats all day long. But if you have self-defeating behaviors in other aspects of your life, maybe, binging on sugar or low self-esteem or whatever, you're never going to feel healthy no matter what size you get to.
Exactly. And the initial reason that people come to see you is quite often not the real reason that they need to see you.
Absolutely.
So it's great to get underneath the layers and see, because nobody is out of shape because they just need to do more push-ups.
Exactly. That's
not the issue.
What's really interesting, I found it fascinating. I did a survey the other day about this transformational program that I'm sure I'll get to in a little bit. But I did a survey amongst people who are interested in joining, and I asked specifically, like, what is holding you back from reaching your goal? Like, why do you need this program? And I gave them options. Is it time? Is it motivation? Is it old baggage? Is it lack of knowledge, lack of support, and then or other. And consistently across the board, 0 people said it was either lack of knowledge or lack of support, which really surprised me. So most people know what they need to be doing, and they have people around them, like maybe their spouse or their loved ones, who are supporting them. But it was lack of time, old baggage, and motivation. That was consistent across the board. People didn't really have the motivation to do it. They didn't have the time to do it. And they were holding on to old baggage that was holding them back. And so anyway, I found that really interesting.
So when you find the ticket, the actual problem, is it like counseling sessions? Is it just attacking the fear head on? How do you approach that?
Yeah, so I've learned the hard way that if you jump right into the hard stuff, you scare people away. So I find that the best thing to do is to start small to get people feeling good, so let's start with consistency. When people are moving more consistently or eating well more consistently, tackling maybe small things regularly, then they start to build the confidence that they can do it. They start feeling better in their own skin. They start feeling better about their ability, whether it be physically or just their ability to actually follow through, and then you use those as building blocks to like, okay, then, if you're doing all these things, but you're still not losing weight, let's get to the why. Do you not believe you can? Are you making 5 steps forward and then taking 6 back? And like that, it tends to be that people build some positive momentum, and then that might feel scary because it's new and change is scary. And so they'll do something just to blow it out of the water, just to prove to themselves, see, I knew I couldn't do it, and so when that happens, then we use that as a teachable moment of like, okay, you see that thing you just did? Let's talk about why you did that, and where does that come from, and how can we try to do different in the future?
Very cool, because we do all have a comfort zone.
Yeah.
And we have to get comfortable pushing outside of that comfort zone, or we never change.
Totally.
And it is the danger zone right there.
Yeah, and
the longer we stay in there, the harder it is.
When you push people out of their comfort zone, there's usually, it never, it's like you just blast out of your comfort zone and then you're a new person. It's like you take a few steps out and then you do something subconsciously, usually that puts you back in your comfort zone because that felt scary. So then the next time around, maybe you take a few more steps out and then you don't go back as far. But it's never like this linear, you just go from point A to point Z step by step,
Right. So true. So in your background, I'm echoing back in my own head. I don't know why. So if I sound funny, I apologize. It's echoing right back at me. Did you get a degree in fitness and go totally on that route, or how did you end up in the fitness environment?
Yeah. So, speaking of paths not being linear, I actually joined the Army when I was 17. And I thought it would be a cool, like, personal challenge. It'd be a way to give back to my country, and it'd be a way to kind of get out of the house and start my adult life, which I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. And then when I came back from basic training, I felt, it was really interesting. I felt like I could take on the world. I felt invincible. I had just done 6 months of really intense training with mostly boys, and I was really strong. However, I had put on, I think, about 20 pounds during the course of my training. And I had been a pretty scrawny teenager, and I took weight gainer shakes, and I was, active, and I was an athlete, but I just couldn't put on weight. I was just real like a twig kind of frame. And I was real self-conscious about that as a young woman. And so then all of a sudden I went to basic training, 6 months of military training. I put on 20 pounds and I was stronger than ever and more I think mentally and physically strong, but I looked chubby, which was something that was totally new to me. And so it really planted the seed of what stress and nutrition can do. So I went from eating pretty healthy and eating like an athlete to eating 3 square meals of mostly carbs and butter and fat. And I was stressed to the max. And so it got me really interested in okay, well, it's not just physical activity, because this was really intense. However, I still put on 20 pounds, so it really kind of helped frame how I look at fitness and how it's not just about being more active, because I was in basic training and I got fat, like it was also about the stress I was under, the lack of sleep, the 3 big square meals of carbs and fat. And so after that, I went and got my personal training certification and really started learning about, all of the aspects that go into staying fit.
Okay, and then you started working as a trainer, and then you went into pre and postnatal.
Yeah. So I joined the Army at 17. I became a trainer at 18, and then my mom passed away at 19. And then I started Total Mommy Fitness a couple years after that. Going back to that previous story of not really connecting the dots of that, evolution until later in life. But yeah, so I started Total Mommy Fitness in my early 20s, knowing nothing about motherhood, just knowing that I wanted to help moms. And I think it was a way for me to kind of channel, when lose a loved one, such a helpless feeling. And this was something I could do to, I think, help do something about it. It's like, I may not be able to help my story, but I can help other families not have the same story. And so I think that's what's held my interest for so many years and makes it such a passion.
It's funny, you and I both had that pre-postnatal thing from ACE.
Yeah.
I got the same one in 2005.
Oh, that's so interesting. That's when
Isn't that funny?
2005 is when I got mine.
Yeah, we were probably taking it at the same time.
Yeah. So what made you want to get it?
Well, I had my first baby in 2004.
Oh, okay.
And I had severe diastasis recti, and nobody had any answers, including that certification.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Yes. So it's a common injury, as you know.
In 2005, the resources just weren't there, and what was there was pretty limited. So it's amazing to see how far it's come, but it's also discouraging that it still has so much further to go to become general knowledge in the medical community and the fitness community. And you go into most gyms, and a lot of trainers still are afraid of working out with pregnant women. And that in 2016, that just seems crazy.
Yeah, when it just takes a few tidbits of knowledge, really, and to do the research like you and I did, and to treat the women like they're people.
Yeah, and not like pregnancy is a injury or a disability or something that should be feared. It's a natural human process from the beginning of time. Like, this is not women are not as dainty, I think, as we treat them.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have to be strong. We have babies.
Yeah. So let me ask
small feet.
You mentioned diastasis. That's something that has so many varying. I've heard so many varying opinions about. You should work your abs. You shouldn't work your abs, and during pregnancy, and then also conflicting advice postpartum. Can you give me a little information about what you think? Because I have my own opinions just from working with women as long as I have. But I'd be curious, someone who's worked with them equally as long, what do you think about working pre and postnatal?
For prenatal, once they start showing, I do not have them do curl-ups or planks anymore because of the change purse effect on the muscles that are covering the organs and the organs pressing on the back of the rectus abdominis. I think planks are fine if at least one knee is down. but I think the lever is too long from the arms to the toes, and it causes the sag and the push from the lower back into the organs. Mm-hmm. And I also have them stop doing pull-ups at that time. I think that's too much pressure from the rib cage into the top of the rectus abdominis and can cause some opening there. Otherwise, the prenatal information that I give is the same that we got in the certification, where we have to be very careful about changing in blood sugar and blood pressure and all of that. And then postnatal, I do an assessment immediately on diastasis recti, and 65% of the time they do have some tearing. And if they start right away in the repair process, then it doesn't become a surgical issue or a hernia issue. Quite often they come to me much later. And so by that time, it's a serious injury. But many times we can still at least save the muscles. And it's very similar. They don't do curl-ups and they don't do full planks and they don't do pull-ups or lat pull-downs until the muscles have reconnected. And that is the flat belly system that I teach. So it's pulling the core back together from the lowest muscle up, realigning the spine, and doing strength exercises around those perimeters.
Okay. So now I hadn't heard the pull-up thing. I find that interesting. But it makes sense. And then when you say they can't do those things while they're pregnant, but what do you recommend they do as an alternative to? Because I believe that atrophy can also cause diastasis. Like the muscles get weak and then they can't stay together. So keeping your core strong, I think, is really important. What do you think are the safest exercises for pregnancy?
So abdominal exercises are fine as long as they follow those. So for instance, if they're lying supine or at least propped up supine, then they can still do leg lifts one leg at a time, just not both. Okay. And they can still contract and hold the core muscles in. They can still do a plank as long as at least one knee is down, and still do those sort of plank exercises just with that slight modification.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, even side planks, just pop that knee down just to give a little extra support.
Yeah, I think kneeling side planks are great up until the end. I mean, from my experience training pregnant women, because you don't have all the weight of the baby pulling up front, but it still is a way to engage your core.
Yeah. So, and I'm sorry to get us sidetracked on all of that information, but
no, that's okay.
It's fun to talk to you about it. So, do you have any children of your own, or you've always just taken care of other mommies?
Yeah, I plan to have children of my own. I haven't yet, though. I'm 33, and my clock is certainly ticking. It's just I think I've spent so many years focusing on other moms, and I have nieces and nephews and a godson, and I feel like my life is so fulfilled with, all the love I have for all these little beings around me. And I'm like, it's probably time I have one of my own. I think I very much know the reality of pregnancy and motherhood, extremely up close and personal, and that has made me want to make sure it's really the right time and a solid relationship and a solid, financial situation, and also making sure I've sowed all my wild oats and traveled and done all the things. So then when I am a mom, I can be like 100% in it, and I feel very grateful to have had, the opportunity to have the life and adventures and fulfilling career that I have had. And then now I'm shifting into that, like, more, okay, now it's time for motherhood. Here we go,
Well, that's ideal.
Yeah. I feel pretty lucky.
Tell me about where Total Mommy Fitness is going. What is your project now and moving forward?
Yeah, so Tatum Mommy Fitness has been one of those things that has taken on a life of its own. I expected just to be a trainer operating under the name Total Mommy Fitness, so people knew I specialized in mommies, and early on in my career, I thought, well, maybe I'll franchise at some point, or, I thought I would grow it into something so then it continues after I'm gone. But But what I'm realizing, the internet has obviously changed things in a big way. That wasn't even in my consciousness, and in the early 2000s. And so I started this 100-day mind-body transformation, and it's a new virtual training, and it's going to take the membership site and all the internet marketing stuff and combine that with what I've been doing for 11 years or more, and doing the in-person coaching. So I'm going to meet with clients like we are right now virtually, but then also have a group support component with the private Facebook group, and then also have the internet, membership site component. So I'm going to try to combine all the worlds. I think people learn differently. Some need lots of personal attention. Some like the group support. Some just want to self-pace, in the behind the scenes membership site. When they have time, they can look at the information on their own. So I'm excited about it. It's basically going to take kind of everything I've learned, over the course of my career, and just try to really jump in deep with a small group of women, and see how that goes. And, I'm optimistic because I think it's going to be great, but we'll see. I'll let you know in 100 days.
When does it start?
It starts February 15th, and there's still, I think, about 3 spots left. So if anyone's interested, they can go to totalmommyfitness.com. And then besides that, I just released earlier, I guess late last year, I released a Total Mommy Fitness certification. And so the A certification, like we both took, was great in 2005. But I found that a lot of the stuff that I was reading and keeping current on my certifications was still that old information. And so I created a new one that's all the latest research. None of the research is later than, I think, 2 years old. And it goes really in depth, not just about what's safe and what's not safe, but the lifestyle changes and the mindset and the nutrition, and that's approved by both ACE and the National Academy of Sports Medicine. So I'm trying to change the fitness world's mind, and then also, still reach women one-on-one. So Total Mommy Fitness is kind of 2 tracks.
Super exciting. Yay. Yes, absolutely. So needed in our field. I'm very excited to hear that.
Well, thanks. I hope it takes off, because I did it because it is needed. There's still, I had a client who moved to Houston and called and was like, do you have any recommendations for a Houston trainer? Because I've been to 4 gyms so far and no one will work with a pregnant woman. And it's just like, that should not still be happening,
Wow. Very true.
Yeah.
So these women are from everywhere that are joining you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Worldwide?
A lot of them are, they certainly can be worldwide, but since this is a small group and it's it's kind of a beta program, because it's the first time I'm doing it, a lot of the people who are joining are either people who have worked with me before, but they've moved away, or I've moved away, and, I had a digital magazine for a couple of years, or it's people who are followers of the digital magazine and got to know me through that and want to work with me. So it's people who have had a relationship with me or Total Mommy Fitness. And then I'm hoping that after this first 100-day transformation, then I'll, keep building and snowballing and have testimonials, and we'll be able to grow it. Because right now it's just about, I'm accepting 10 people. And then I feel like I'll be able to give them such one-on-one quality, hands-on support. Over the course of the 100 days, I'll have built out a platform with all the information and get feedback of what worked, what didn't work. And then I'll be able to recycle that content and just grow the course over time.
I love it.
Thanks.
That's great. And it keeps you in control of your own time, which is important.
And my own brand. The problem with the franchise, and I thought about franchising and licensing, and I haven't ruled it out, but it's not where I'm at right now. This is my baby, I would be a much better businesswoman if I wasn't so emotionally attached to this brand, but I'm not willing to let it go. And the power of the internet is I can be all over the world at once. I don't need to hire, franchisees to replicate my program. I can be my program. It's just finding a way to scale it virtually, which I'm in the process of doing.
Oh yeah, I think it's totally scalable. I think this first group's going to be awesome, and it's just going to take off from there. So congratulations on that, Tatum. It
I appreciate it.
sounds fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, Tatum. I am going to pause the record button,
Sure.
and thank you for your time.
Thank you.